Right. We're in the building. How's everybody doing? Y'all listen, y'all gotta excuse my hair. As a matter of fact, I gotta do something with it tonight because I have an event tomorrow. So I will be doing something with my hair tonight. You best believe that. So don't worry about it now. But I had to take my hat off because I can't wear any name brand things in these podcasts because I get in trouble. So, um, y'all, I don't know how much I can tell you this. Like, we as a people, especially myself, is I like to go have fun. I like to enjoy life. I like to get out. I wish I could spend more time with my kids, but America is set up to where you got to constantly work. You can't really have time spent with your kids. Some people, and if you take that time, then you're gonna slip. You're gonna fall behind. So America is. Somebody just said America is the greatest country in the world, the greatest whatever. Yeah, greatest country in the world. And you know there's pieces of that that are true or that was true, but now it's like we all see that things are going back to a time where it wasn't good for us. You know, they got the saying "Make America Great Again," and like people have been asking, especially black people, when has it been great? When has it been great? Let us know, and they can't never answer that. It's like, don't worry about it. We got this. You know, one thing that really gets to me is like how they feel like they can control us and rule over us without us at the table. Like it bothers me every time like you see like the president go up, uh they make new laws and there are no black people around. So no black person had an input in this. We see the same thing with the court date. And they get to a point where they don't give a fuck. They like, we don't care if y'all are not happy with it. We don't care that y'all they don't care about our feelings. They've already said that. They pointed that out time and time again. It's like laughter to them. We a kid dies and they immediately on the like as we talk about it, we gonna talk about seriously. We're gonna come to a conclusion. You hear them on the radio laughing, and I'll be showing y'all that they be laughing and stuff like that. They laughing at the mom, they laughing at the dad, they laughing at their pain. They don't. A lot of people who move like that, they don't have that compassion, and that's not a knock to anybody. They just don't. They don't have that compassion. It's like, hey, we got to learn. We got to hear about racism again. Like they don't even want to learn to where what they doing is wrong. Like they don't want to hear none of this. You feel what I'm saying? Or what upsets people and how you should move about it. Even if you think like you're right about the situation, you still have to have compassion for the people who feel a certain way, and that's what they don't have. It's like it's my way, the way that I feel. Fuck the way that you feel. You feel what I'm saying? That's a person without compassion. That's exactly the meaning. You don't have that compassion. So, with that being said, I got this video I want y'all to watch. Man, this is crazy because like, with all of this going on, like I said, we are trying to live our life, and you're gonna clearly see like these people are trying to come up with ways to make our people seem like we cheat, like we liars, all of that. And I want y'all to see this because y'all be thinking I be lying and like I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I'm telling you, this stuff is actively happening right now today. So let's take a look. And y'all can leave your comments. Let me know what y'all think.
Ladies and gentlemen, the problem is the blacks. I know that it's like
I
we're
want y'all to
going
listen to
back
this.
to that, David. Listen very carefully to what Republican Congressman James Comer said here. Comer goes, there's rampant fraud, especially in minority communities. The problem is not wealthy suburbs or rural counties or everywhere equally. The fraud problem is non-white people. If you have been following American politics long enough, you know that this is an old trope that is back. Republicans lose an election they don't like, And instead of going, why did voters reject us? They start looking for cheaters. This applies both to voting and also welfare programs, etc. They love to insist it's the minorities cheating in elections and it's the minorities cheating in welfare programs. Take a listen to what James Comer had to say.
We're seeing so much fraud in the Medicaid program in particular is because that's federal money that goes to the states. Then the states administer their own Medicaid programs. And what we're seeing, especially in the blue states, is there's rampant fraud, especially in the minority communities, and they're turning a blind eye to it for political reasons. That's the bottom line. That's what those state employees in Minnesota said, and that's what's happening. And I think the only way we're going to stop it is if people are put in jail.
By the way, his pronunciation of program as pogrom is very interesting to me, but that's not really the focus of this particular episode. You know, it's always the same story with these people. The cheaters are certainly in the blue states, but especially in the cities. And they're in the most urbanized areas of the cities. And it just so happens that they're the communities with lots of black and brown voters. This is such an old pattern. And notice something else. There's no evidence presented. There's no statistics that are offered for us or an investigation, or certainly no prosecutions and convictions. It's just rampant fraud by minorities. If the fraud were truly rampant, there would be proof everywhere, and yet they are unable to find it. We would be seeing arrests in court cases and criminal charges and maybe a conviction or two and someone going to prison. Instead, we get political talking points. Now, we've been through this in other ways. He's talking about Medicaid fraud here, but we've been through this sort of routine before. Remember after the 2020 election,
they finna try to take your grandparents
and the court challenges and investigations and Republican.
They finna try to take their Medicare, at least cut it.
States and all of it, and there was just no evidence. We are 6 years into that.
What's going to end up happening? Because see, they use this stuff to make laws. It's not just they're using this stuff to wow people or whatever. They'll start making laws. There's fraud over here. There's fraud over there. Your grandma, there's fraud in her community. So now she got to come in every 2 months and register. And then your grandma can't do that. Then they're going to make it harder for her to do that. It's going to be like, oh, you can only come in online. And I know like my mom, the only way that she has a hard time getting through like AI. When AI, she'll talk to AI like it's a person. And she don't understand, like AI can't really understand what she's saying. You know, can only understand like certain phrases and things like that. But she'll get to talking to AI and get frustrated and hang up. That's how they're gonna do the same way with your mom. You know what I'm saying? And then she's gonna get to a point. She's gonna get to a point where she just like, okay, forget it. Like, I don't want to even deal with this no more. That's how like my mom get. They're gonna start taking away her benefits. You like, hey, Elon Musk making money. Do you not know Elon Musk? How many children he said to have been responsible for them for their deaths because of taking their medicine? Like, this is insane. We're gonna listen to some more of what he's talking about. Oh, that was so good. I'm sorry, I had to that was so good. And I also lost my train of thought, but let's listen to a little bit more what he's saying.
They still claim it was rigged, but they presented no evidence, and the narrative is able to survive. The narrative itself is what's useful to them. They are beyond needing evidence for this to be politically useful. If you can convince supporters,
like I said, it's a narrative.
Losses happen because somebody cheated.
Listen. That's exactly what I be saying with this AI slop they be putting out there. Y'all, it's not the fact that it's real. People get mad at me because they be like, okay, Johnny, we know it's not real. People know it's not real. It's not. That's not the point. The point is is let me put the narrative out there. As long as I can get the narrative out there, then the rest of the stuff it doesn't even matter because there are certain people that's going to believe this stuff. Not everybody gonna believe, but there's certain people gonna believe. And if you get a certain amount, look, the president only has 30% approval. That means 30% of people in America got this man really elected and put through. You don't have to have a majority of people. 70% of people hate this man, damn near. 30% of the people in the right places at the right time that did the right stuff and had Elon Musk money can win elections. That's just it. Elon Musk buys elections. Okay, let's move on.
You never have to change anything. And in fact, when it comes to if we shift now from election fraud to Medicaid fraud, if you can convince people that there are these attractive scapegoats for your political purpose, these black and brown people are cheating the system and your taxpayer money is going to them, this movement of MAGA people will be way more willing to accept going after those programs. If it's really true that the blacks and the browns are taking my tax money to lie about deserving Medicaid, I'm okay with Trump cutting Medicaid because I don't want my tax money going to that. Meanwhile, war in Iran that they're paying, elements of which they've been asked, etc. So it's a evil genius to get them to look at the wrong thing. We've got to do something about my tax money going to black and brown people that don't really deserve pennies on the dollar compared to what Trump is. Trump's net worth is up billions during this administration. So they don't need evidence. They just need an attractive scapegoat to say, that's the problem. That's what we're doing it. The someone else who's the problem is a black or brown person in a minority community, in an urban area, in a so-called blue city. Quick timeout. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed. Not tomorrow, not later. Just do it right now. Let's get it done. We're closing in on 4 million subscribers. I would appreciate the help. Let's get back to where I was. And they can sort of cycle through this for whatever they need. Is it useful for voter fraud? Well, we've got to cut polling places in urban areas and militarize the precincts and all of this stuff. Then it's with Medicaid. It's with food stamps where the average benefit is a couple $100 a month. Now, I do think that it's worth addressing the free ridership problem in any big and mostly effective social welfare program. Some people will get through the cracks and get some benefits that they don't deserve. But it's really not worth focusing on that if you've calibrated enforcement correctly. And let me explain what I mean by that. You could get free ridership to zero if you dramatically increased what you spend on enforcement. You could assign a team of forensic auditors to every application for food stamps or Medicaid or whatever, if that's what you wanted to do, and you would bring the free ridership to zero. But the enforcement would be so expensive that it's not worth it. And so with all of these programs, and this is global, they have expertise that allows them to say, okay, if it's known that there's no enforcement, there will be some people who just go, sign me up, right? If it's that easy. On the other hand, if we do that scenario I mentioned, a team of forensic auditors for every application, we'll have zero so-called fraud or free ridership, but it will be so expensive to enforce that doesn't make sense. We need just enough enforcement. It's got to be to a degree random where people go, they might catch me, that you get a level. And that's actually the cheapest. And remember, the goes to people in these programs is economically stimulative. When someone gives them a little money to spend in local communities, which is good for the local economy. When someone is on food stamps, that food stamp money is spent at local grocery stores with a very high economic multiplier effect. So the program is economically stimulative. Yep. In order to have this zero free ridership enforcement, it would be so expensive that it would not make any sense. Back to James Comer. They're back to, it's the blacks and the browns. Anybody surprised? Somehow I'm kind of not surprised. Appreciate you watching. Stick
Oh,
around for this next video.
Y'all need to make sure that y'all speak up, say something, because this is happening today. This is happening today. And I just wanted to bring that to y'all because I'll be like, oh, you're racist and stuff like that because your stories. You see where I get my stories from. But I get in trouble. That's how you know we're not equal, because I'll get in trouble or whatever, or they'll threaten me or whatever. But white people are allowed to say these things. They're allowed to tell you the truth. But a black person say it, then you get your foot cut off. Something's going to happen to you type situation. That just tells to show you that we're not equal. And they get paid off of their podcast. I don't get paid off my podcast like that yet. I'm getting to that point, but I don't get paid yet like that. So anyway, there we go. I hope y'all like it. I'm gonna get out of here. I got other things to do. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Peace. We might do one more. I think we will. All right, cool. I'm out.